author, has written a number of New York Times best-selling books, and this one is destined to be a New York Times bestseller, getting a lot of attention. The book is called Dark Territory: The Secret History of Cyber War. Fred Kaplan, welcome to St. Louis and the Big 550 KTRS.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Who would have thought that the movie War Games, starring Matthew Broderick, would have changed the nation's history? What is going on with the movie War Games?
It is a bizarre story, one of my most surprising bits of research. In the first weekend of June 1983, President Ronald Reagan is up at Camp David. He watches a movie that Saturday night. It's War Games. You remember this was the Matthew Broderick movie. He plays a teenage whiz kid who unwittingly hacks into the main computer of North American Air Defense Command, thinking that he's playing a new online game, almost sets off World War III. So back in the White House, there's a big national security meeting, not about this subject, it was something else, but at one point, Reagan puts down his index cards and he says, "Has anybody seen this movie War Games?" And nobody has. It had just come out. So he launches into this very detailed plot description. People are looking around, like, what's going on? Where's this going? And he turns to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and he says, "General, could something like this really happen?" The general says, "I'll look into it, Mr. President." He comes back a week later, says, "Mr. President, the problem is much worse than you think," which leads to the first presidential directive on telecommunications and computer security, which also launches the dilemmas and tensions that we have today between national security and privacy and civil liberties, the rivalries between the NSA and other branches of government. And that leads to the history that we've seen ever since.
And you go so far as to say that the writers of the movie did research in which hackers at the time, which no one knew what a hacker was, told them that sort of basically wrote the blueprint over how you would hack into a government computer, and that became part of the movie.
Well, one of the writers knew kind of a white hat hacker who had told him about something at the time called demon dialing or war dialing, where you program your phone. Everything was by phones then. You program your phone to dial a bunch of numbers, every number in the area code automatically. Let it ring twice. If there's a modem on the other end, it squawks, and that's a number that has a computer. But the interesting thing is, they were wondering, well, our screenplay, it has this guy doing this with a military computer. Is that possible? So they lived in Santa Monica. They went to see this guy at the Rand Corporation named Willis Ware. Well, they didn't know this, but Willis Ware had written a paper 15 years earlier warning, when the internet was just going up, warning about the vulnerabilities of having computer networks. And he said, I designed the computer. I designed the software for that computer, and it's true, it's a closed system. You wouldn't be able to get in ordinarily, but, officers want to work from home on the weekends, so they usually leave a port open. And if you dialed that number, you would get in. And then he said, something that people don't realize. The only completely secure computer is a computer that no one can use.
And we're still having that same argument today with Apple and the NSA to find a back door for that phone. Right.
Well, the FBI is trying to get them to strip away one of their measures. The interesting thing about this is also an argument that goes back. There has been a complicit arrangement between telecoms and intelligence agencies dating back almost 100 years, starting in the 1920s when a World War I era intelligence agency persuaded Western Union to give them access to all telegraphs going in and out of the country. When telephones happened, similar arrangement with AT&T. When internet companies happened, it got to be a two-way street. Let's say, Microsoft, Cisco, these companies would want to sell their wares to the Defense Department. They had to be vetted for security. Who vetted it? It was the NSA. And the first Microsoft Windows operating system that went through this process, the NSA found 1,500 points of vulnerability in this program. Now, they helped them plug most of the holes, not all of them. They left a few of them open so that when foreign governments bought this same operating system, they could hack in. What this legal fight between Apple and the FBI, what it really comes down to is the government wanting to maintain this arrangement through the next era of tighter encryption, and Apple, in particular Tim Cook, wanting to disrupt the arrangement.
The book is called Dark Territory: The Secret History of Cyber War. Fred Kaplan. Fred, is Edward Snowden considered part of the cyber war, or is that a different? Is that a different book?
He leaked a lot of information which revealed the extent to which this complicity between agencies and private industry was going on. It led to a commission appointed by President Obama, and I have a whole chapter, kind of the inside story of what happened in this commission, and to some reforms within the NSA. But I don't think he completely understands, and his revelations certainly didn't fundamentally change the direction that we're headed in this sphere.
We're out of time, Fred, but how many countries have a cyber war division trying to hack into our systems?
About 20.
Yeah.
But we hack into theirs too, you know.
The book is called Dark Territory: The Secret History of Cyber War. Fred Kaplan, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
7:57, Big